Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, and you know what that means. Let's all get ourselves in a great mindset to tackle the week. But good morning, everyone. This is Carol Sue, aka Nani Boss, live with two.
Sistas. Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Janice, aka Wellness Diva 5.0 on this Monday Mindset, August 29th. And I do believe it is somebody's 47th anniversary today.
It is so happy, happy anniversary to our sister and brother-in-law. We wish them a great day. 47 years. That's a long time, and to see the generations that come in abundance from their love is pretty exciting. So we wish them a very happy 47th.
Absolutely. So Mindset Monday, the last Monday of the month. And, I don't know why, but I think the last Monday of the month for me is kind of exciting because it's like, boom, look at everything I did. Whereas I used to think, oh man, I didn't do this, I didn't do that. But for me, it's exciting. So, how do you feel about the last Monday of the month? Like, do you look back and think, yeah, I did a damn good job. And okay, all right, there's some things that I didn't quite finish, but I'm going to get them done this month.
That is true. I mean, we talk about really putting excuse me, your objectives, your goals, your dreams, your things that you're going after in a kind of a time capsule, like on a weekly basis. So you want to break down, and that is why, doing it by the week makes it more doable. But we also talk about the residuals of the actions that you couldn't get done. And, life hits us, it derails us, it takes us on maybe a different journey, a different road that we were anticipating. Sometimes it's a derailment. Sometimes it's just a different journey. Sometimes we had to kind of renegotiate, our ideas or our thoughts or what we were going after, because maybe we didn't plan for something. So how many times, and I always often use the word, or I use the event, the wedding, as a perfect example of setting those goals, those dreams of what you want to accomplish. And then when the actual event occurs, you realize, oh, I forgot to do this, or this didn't happen, or I forgot to play that song, or I forgot to put this out. And you realize that sometimes we get too focused on the list, but not really. And you have to stay focused on the list. So we don't mean that, but also embrace the other things. Maybe the reason why you derailed, or maybe the reason why life took you in a different journey that derailed you from what you were going after, was so you could experience and or bless something else. Maybe, and why I use the wedding for a perfect example, maybe you got in that dance with that relative that you didn't think you were going to. Maybe you had that conversation with somebody. Maybe you got to see that great relative or great friend that you haven't seen in a long time, so you actually had time to sit down. So even while maybe some of the details were exactly in the manner of which you wanted them to come out, other goodness and other blessings come out. So I never, the only time I think of the word failure or incomplete is if we give up. And as long as we don't give up and we don't quit, we take all the things that might have pushed us in a different direction, or again, took us on that different road for a purpose, for a more meaningful purpose. So I always say, don't get down on yourself. If, you didn't click off the check boxes completely, did you actually, complete part of it? So give yourself credit for the part that you did complete, don't you think?
Right. Because, we can fill in the little holes, right? And I heard somebody say last week, well, my list has lists. And I was a little confused by that. And, I've heard that often. And I think, wow, so how is their mindset? Like, how do they feel each and every morning when they wake up? I don't know why I think of that, but it makes me think of, okay, today, like when we wake up, right? If we say we're going to have a bad day, we're going to have a bad day. We've often chatted about that. But if we woke up with you know what? Today I'm going to get A, B, and C done. And focus on the little things. So you complete A, B, C. Maybe A is making your bed. Maybe B is finally getting to the laundry, like whatever it is for you. Those are things to be celebrated because that creates the foundation of mindset. And, you know, people sometimes say, well, what do you mean by like the little things like making your bed and, you know, doing laundry? It's different for everybody. For those people who maybe struggle with a morning routine or what they should be doing, it's about focusing on what we want to complete. And even if it's just a, you know, a half of a goal that we want to complete, that is something to be celebrated.
Yeah, and I think we get too focused on making a list and don't even understand how to prioritize. So what I mean by that is we tend to put long-term goals under a short-term goal category, or a monthly goal associated with, say, a 3-month goal or a 6-month goal, a year goal. You have to really understand and embrace that some goals are going to take more time. There's more things that you have to, that are attainable for you to achieve before you reach a certain spot. So we always say that prioritize your goals. And that's why we say, you know, what are your weekly goals? What are your monthly goals? What are your, you know, quarterly goals? What are your, you know, semi-annual goals? And what are your yearly goals? Because each path may depend on you hitting these other marks before you get to it. So if you say, oh, I was going to achieve this month, knowing that that was a bigger goal, and before you could actually check it off, you had to hit some of these smaller marks. So that's why I always say, like, your vision board should be always your big goals. You know you're not going to get them in a week. You know you're not going to make them in a month. And I don't mean to say that you know, so you're not going to achieve. You're being realistic. You're being accountable to say, look, for me, in order to for me to reach that. So think of it this way. When people buy a home, most people, not all, you know, we want to make sure that we're clear on that. Not all, but most people need to save money. They don't just have that bank account that they can do that. So they try to figure out what is within their budget, or what their, you know, what their dream house is going to be, because your dream house is going to look different, a lot different than what you can afford. Again, you're being realistic. You can still have that dream house. That should be your long-term goal. That should be on your vision board, all the bells and whistles, whatever you want on it. But if you are a first-time buyer, you are looking for that. That is your starter home. So why do people say that? Why do they say it's your starter home? Now, for some people, the starter home may be their dream home, and may be their forever home. And that's cool. That's where their goals are. And that's awesome. But for other people, they may say, but they don't just go out and buy that house. They have to work for what? The down payment. So they need to figure out a plan. Okay, I want to think that this is within my budget. I know it's going to take me X amount of months, years, whatever, to save for that first deposit, to make sure that I get to that first step. That's not going to happen in a week, unless you win the lottery, but it's not realistic. It's not attainable. So, you know, my goal, my smaller goals is, if I get paid weekly, I'm going to save so much of that money per week to get me to the monthly goal that I want, that I need to know how many months it's going to take me to save up to put that down payment on. So there are layers, there are steps, and you have to be realistic in your goals. So you could have daily goals. For me, I have daily goals. So yes, what would be a daily goal? Making the bed. You know, that's a standard. That's on my daily goal. Now you say, why write that down? Because it is something that we also want to set ourselves up for success. We want to set up our mindset for success. So you're going to have those daily goals that are pretty attainable, that you know that these are things that you can achieve. You may want to bend it a little bit. You may want to add to it to push the limit on something that you wouldn't normally do. And that's good too, because you always want to push yourself. All those little goals, daily goals, are going to lead to that bigger weekly goal, right? So then you got that weekly goal, and that weekly goal is going to contribute to the goals that you've set for the month. And the monthly goals are going to go to your quarterly goals, and your quarterly goals are going to go to your semi, and then your yearly. So there's phases of goals. And I think part of the problem why people get discouraged, they quit, is because they set the bar way too high. It's okay to set the bar high as long as you put that in a visual perspective of that's going to take longer to achieve. If you put those bigger things on your daily list or your weekly or your monthly list, and like you say, at the end of the month, you're like, I didn't hit that. Well, was it realistic for you to begin with? Did you set the bar too high? It doesn't mean that you don't push yourself. You always want to push yourself because you may nibble away at that bigger goal, but you also want to be realistic. And I think once you're realistic, what does that do for your mindset? You feel achievement. You feel like you've accomplished, you've completed, you give that pat yourself on the back. And I think we need to do more of that. I think people need to reevaluate what is contributing to their different goal lists that are also going to impact their mind. So their mindset is going to be in that good place, because you don't want to set yourself up for failure. And I think far too often we do that.
That is true. And, the other thing, since we're talking about houses and whatnot, let's say maybe that obviously buying your dream home, right, is on your vision board. But let's say you want to challenge yourself in such a way, you're not really sure how to go about it. So maybe you say, you know what, for the next 6 months, in 6 months from now, I want to save $1,000. So work your way back. Obviously do the math with that. I'm not going to do that right now, but for purposes, obviously, of this conversation. So you work backwards, then you have, okay, I need to save X amount of dollars each month. That means X amount of dollars each week. And you start that way. And that in itself, like creating that, how you are going to reach it. And that will, and then you get to the 6 months and maybe you have, because of the math, you have a little more than $1,000. Well, what does that tell you? So maybe the next 6 months you bump it up a little bit.
Exactly.
Create your goals for success and celebrate those milestones along the way. That is so important.
Yeah, and it boosts your confidence. It boosts your feeling, because we all need to feel like we're accomplished. We all need to feel like we completed a task, because a lot of times that is what derails us. Just the action of not completing puts us in that funky mood. We get down on ourselves. Oh my God, I didn't do this. That is why, I love body transformations, specifically for like competitions, because they're on such a regimented schedule. Now, it's not something that they can attain for a lifetime. Most people can't train that heavy, that hard all the time. But the point is it's mapped out. Are you mapping out your goals, your fitness, your health, your wellness, your finances, your goals, your dreams? You have to map it out. And I think part of mapping it out, and to me, it's part of the fun of it, because you really get to be creative in what you're really going after and what you want and what your dreams and how you're going to do that, what tools are going to be in your tool chest, which is going to really spark that positive mindset that is so needed to stay on task. Now, we know we always talk about that. You could have it mapped out so perfectly, so flawlessly, there's no room for error. But then all of a sudden, something happens that you weren't planning on. These are all part of the journey. These are all part of the process, because it does lead you to that mindset that, ooh, okay, didn't think of that. I've got to be mindful of that next time, or I've got to account for that. Sometimes it's time. It's just something as simple as time, mapping out your time. We don't plan for it. And I always say, anytime you plan a trip, anytime you are planning a date night, an activity, an event, and you have a time frame, you want to put the variables in there. Variables might be traffic. Variables mean somebody's got to take a bathroom break. Variables might mean someone's sick in the car, whatever it may be. Put the variables in there. So when you're mapping out and planning things, you're always accounting for some possibilities that might occur. And guess what? If they don't occur, kudos to you. You may arrive there earlier, or you may get to that activity earlier. So I think we have to do a better job with our mindset to understand that we've got to map things and prepare, because that is a key piece that should be in your toolbox for success for your mindset and your goals.
Tools in your toolbox. That is so right. And speaking of tools in your toolbox, maybe it's pen and paper. Like, keep it as simple as possible. What works for your schedule, what we do may not work for you. Like, tailor it for yourself. Don't think, well, I have to get this app and I have to do this. Pen and paper, keep it as simple as possible. And then maybe at some point you might want to decide to, get that special app you've always wanted to try. Simplicity at its best meets goals when they are tended to. That complements our lifestyle for sure.
Oh, I agree. And I think so many people, some people like that planner book, some people like using their devices. You've got calendars. So there are many tools out there, and one tool doesn't fit all. I often say that. I know I have a friend who's got sticky notes like everywhere. That would drive me bonkers. Having, for some people, they just like those sticky notes. I can't, to me, it represents too many puzzles of the pieces to the puzzle, and it gets my mind on overload. But for her, she's got everything color coded and it works perfectly. And I admire that she does that. While at the other time she admires that she goes, you can do everything in your book. Like, she goes, your planner is more than it's like your Bible. And I said, yes, and she goes, and you use your devices, not as much as I do my planner. And sometimes if I'm traveling, because my planner is bigger, I will just take screenshots of my planner for the time that I'm away, and or into the future, maybe maybe 3 to 4 weeks. So I know if I'm doing some planning while I'm away, that it's always there for me if I don't want to carry that big planner. So we have to do what's best for us, and we all don't fit in the same box, nor should we. We're all created. There's only one unique person of ourselves, which is us. We're all unique. We all look different. We have different personalities. We have different gut health. We know that. We have different goals. We have different dreams. We're all created equally, but differently. We're all unique. And so even with what we're doing in our world, in what our passions, what drives us, is different, and that complements each other, because we add spice, we add variety, we add different things. And when you're open to seeing what other people are doing, you might just find that, ooh, I may want to try that. Maybe I should try that, that planner, and then realize, ooh, that didn't work for me. I'm better with the devices. That's the only way you're going to know. So I'm always open. I never say no to an app. I never say no to a certain type of planner. I did try the sticky notes thing. Now, sticky notes works well for me if they're in my planner, but putting sticky notes just doesn't work for me. So you got to find out what's best for you and be confident. So what if it's different? If it works for you, do it.
Absolutely. And to backtrack just a tad, the sticky notes, there's an app for that. They actually have a sticky notes app. And I'm like, oh my God, I could really geek out on this for sure. Speaking of sticky notes, I only use these for very special things. They're butterflies, and I have yellow, blue, and pink.
Yeah, those are cute. I love the different shapes. I use them for tabs on certain things, and whatever works for you, do it.
Yeah, and by the way, too, whoever made up sticky notes, I bet they are a freaking billionaire by now.
I'm sure. That it's one of those things that you're like, oh my God, I thought of that, or why didn't I think of that? And how many of us can say that? I think we all can, right? So, be creative with your mindset too. Your mindset may bring you to something that might be applicable to a lot of people that you don't even realize. So write that down with your goals. It may be something you want to patent. It may be something that you want to consider. People are probably, and especially children, they're very creative in their way of thinking, their ideas. And you'd be surprised. I started watching because our grandchildren are very much involved with, they love cooking like their Uncle Mike. Uncle Mike is a chef. And they started watching, it's that Ramsey show, but it's for juniors. So, whatever that cooking show is, I can't think of it at the top of my head. But, Ramsey has that, I think it's Jeff Ramsey. I don't know, that great cook. He has all those reality shows. Well, he's got one for like the junior cook, and they really inspire the kids to be creative in ways of cooking and thinking. And you'd be surprised what children, like even with mechanics and science and technology, the different things that come to their mind that maybe an adult wouldn't think of. So really encourage that in your children as well.
Yeah, that is so awesome. And on that note, this is Mindset Monday.
Gordon Ramsay just came to my
Yeah,
head. I think it's
Gordon
Gordon Ramsay.
Ramsay.
Yeah.
And I think Chef Junior, Top Chef Junior, whatever it is, like I'm butchering the thing, but anyways, on this, what are you butchering today? Anyways, on this Mindset Monday, we hope that you know, take the pen to paper and just for a few minutes, even if it's one goal, or maybe you want to try 3 little goals, try it and see how that makes you feel. And then come back to that piece of paper tomorrow and look at what you accomplished and what are you going to add. Keep it as simple as possible. Keep it in a way that complements your lifestyle. And on that note, my name is Janice, aka Wellness Diva 5.0 with 2
Sisters, and this is Carol Sue, aka Naughty Boss, about to get my zoo on. We're going to the zoo today. Not one, I'm going to be honest, not one of my favorite things to do, but this particular zoo I do like, which is unusual for me. And a lot of people say, well, how could you not? You love animals. Yes, I do. Part of the reason why I don't like zoos is the smell. But this particular zoo, it doesn't smell, or at least it doesn't smell like some of the other ones. So it is doable, and it's, you know, a fun activity to do with the kids because they love going. So I'm going to go. And if there's a point where there's a stinky area, I'll try to avoid it at all costs. That is what my mindset I'm putting out, that I'm going to conquer this possible smelly place because the animals are too cute and they can't help it.
Great.
I
Yeah.
know. But with that, we will see you tomorrow for Triumph Tuesday. You might have such a great Mindset Monday and you're getting all your tasks done and prepared. And then you realize, you actually had a triumph over something. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone. Enjoy your Monday.
Bye for now.